This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of the Andor Season 2 Ghorman Uprising arc. And I think that was the best name for this. It's mainly about the Ghorman people rising up against the Empire and setting up for the Ghorman Massacre next week, which I will be titling next week's video the Ghorman Massacre, since that's going to be the primary event of next week's storyline, although I think it's going to be happens in the events of episode 1. But just going into these arcs, honestly, it was a really, really great storyline. I'm gonna go with this by character story just because, again, so much happened, and the disadvantage is I've watched this episode like 16, 17 hours ago, so I really just have not had the time to be able to record until now. So let's go straight into it, and starting off, it is honestly really crazy with how many storylines are going on with this, and the fact that Cassian and Cyril nearly ran into each other, but they missed each other just by what probably is just a few hours. So going into this, going to the least interesting one of these, I say it has to be everything happened with Wilma and Saw Gerrera. It was still a really interesting story, but definitely the weakest of them. And that's really not saying anything because there's still a really good story. It just didn't have as many great moments as the other ones. And with this, it was him training a person how to use a machine, and with this, the person is very unsure. They ask Saw for specifics of where the attack is so he could be certain. And Saw does give it to him. We get this really great twist at the end of that storyline where Saw reveals he's a spy he knew the entire time and fed him a false location to make sure that the Imperials were waiting there and not at their actual target. And with that, they go and do the heist, and Saw has this just great, kind of crazy speech at the end where he's just talking about just the absolute chaos he went through when he was younger and using that to go and just push Blunt to go and be uh, even more aggressive in this and to fight alongside him. Honestly, it was just really great, and that was the weakest of the storylines. Looking at the other ones, there is one with it was still a really solid story, but again, this is in terms of worst to best, one isn't the best of all of them. It is Luthen and Clea going and trying to remove a bug from uh the Davo's collection because he's going to be checking all of it. That's what goes on in the last of the episodes, but it was a really great storyline. You get even more from Lonnie spread throughout this. He has just so many kind of crazy scenes in this. He goes and is not only working alongside the ISB and giving them decent enough suggestions, he's also still being a spy for Luthen, and he's continuing to pass off information where Luthen just wants more and more, and not even wanting him to be careful anymore. He just needs that information. He then goes and at the beginning of it, he confirms that there's something going on with Ghorman, but he doesn't really know what. He just knows that Deidre is in charge of it, and it just uh, it just keeps getting more and more interesting with it. As at the end of it, he is stuck with Clea, and they have to go and the listening device. She's basically blackmailing him and telling him that he has to go and block everything off, and it's done as there's a tour being given that well, not only Mon Mothma and Luthen are in, and it was just Mon's there because that is her daughter's husband's father, and then Luthen's there to get rid of that, but Krennic also attends. And it was really fun to see him here, where he's just in this kind of casual situation interacting with Mon and the other senators, and honestly, it was just a really great interaction with them. Mon had such a great time interacting there, and it was just super interesting. Talk about a small little thing from this. Bail Organa was recast for this. From what I can see, is Baylor's going to have a larger presence in one of the next upcoming arcs, and they weren't able to get his original actor to be able to come in. So, due to the fact that they needed Bail Organa in the story, they went and recast him. I think it was fine. It was definitely a little off-putting, but it's better for them to do it now and let us know instead of just going and having a major storyline with him and just kind of out of nowhere, it's just a different actor. Just having him a small little cameo role here, and then he could go and continue on to be the character in the next episodes. But yeah, honestly, as I said, it was a little off-putting at first, but still it is ultimately understandable, and they had the character written into the story, but they weren't able to get the actor available, and I'm assuming it was something specifically needed for Bail Organa for these one of the next two upcoming arcs. Just really going through just some of the smaller stories. There is some just stuff with Bix as she's going and just trying to get past her trauma. She's taking some kind of drug to go and reduce her nightmares, and her seeing Dr. Gorst really everywhere. That ultimately culminates at the end where she manages to go and get her revenge on Gorst alongside Cassian as Luthen is able to track down his location and allow Bix to go kidnap him and then force him to listen to the screams of the dying children before she goes and blows the place up with Cassian. I just think I love that ending. I love that development for a character, but I do wish it was developed a lot more. If it was developed more, that'd probably be the best storyline of these. But since it isn't, I sadly just have to say that it is the weakest of them. But yeah, honestly, still it was, as I said, a really solid storyline. Super interesting to go and see, and I really did enjoy it. But going into the two biggest ones in this, there is Cyril's storyline and Cassian's. Both are just really, really good, but Cassian's is the slightly weaker one, and also Cyril's slash the Gorman Rebels, but the Gorman Rebels tie into both of them. It is honestly just super interesting here, and the most interesting thing about it is, as I said, the just how chaotic this group is and not fully knowing what is going on, and looking at everything. When Cassian comes in, he is well, first dealing with everything with Bix and her having all this trauma from everything that's happened, and trying to help her move through it. They have some nice scenes at a local store and everything, and I do like that they're developing a relationship between the two. They do fit well together, and it is a overall nice relationship. I don't think they did well, and then going into just the stuff on Gorman, it was a really well done story. I think that Cassian alongside the Gorman was just super interesting. He is just wondering how could they support this group because This group is just completely disorganized. They are really not knowing what they're doing, and they're going to get themselves killed. So he points that out to them. They're disappointed in him, and then Luthen is especially disappointed in him when Cassian tells him that they aren't worth it. And Luthen goes and has another great speech where he's talking about how he needs Cassian to stop thinking like a soldier and thinking like a leader, and that really, the cause is the only thing worth it. He continues on that even later on when Cassian goes and tells him that he didn't go and think to tell him. Well, he wants to go and confront him about trying to recruit Bix, but then after seeing that she was kind of broken, he backed off from it, and it was honestly just super super interesting there, and it was really exciting to see as Luthen's kind of going for him. He's like, "You compromised everything, and you've disappointed me twice today." I really enjoyed that, and Luthen was great in this as he's just continuing to do whatever it takes. But Cassie goes off on him, and he's like, you need to go and make things right, or else I'm not gonna work for you. And he does, which is the entire reason that the information is given to Cassian about the location of Gorst, so Bix could finally get both revenge and closure. And that was just I said it was a really nice scene at the end. I just wish it was developed a little more, even if it was just 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most of extra development, would have helped a lot. But yeah, honestly, as I said, it was interesting. But now to move into just the most crazy part, which is Cyril and him getting put in this undercover operation. I think that was honestly just generally the most interesting thing there, where you start off in this really weird spot where he's kind of talking a little poorly about the Empire. And while I kind of saw through the ruse, I knew that he would have to be still with Deidre, and he was probably working with her. There was, always that slight little chance, maybe I was wrong, but I was fairly confident and wasn't really surprised at the end of it when it revealed, well, end of like not really end of middle episode 1, where he goes and reveals, yeah, I was working with the ISB, and he's going to plan and take him down. It was just really interesting, as I said, and it was really well done. I think that it's going to be pretty interesting to see just as things continue because, as I said, it was a really interesting to see him here, and he's being used by Deidre. He thinks he's just trying to expose a rebel group. He doesn't know he's trying to get the people of Gorman, well, massacred, and he doesn't know that's what he's setting up. He just thinks it's sort of like an undercover sting operation, and he's saying how this is like the greatest day of his life because he's able to go and do this. It's super interesting, and as he's infiltrating these rebels, it is it's just really interesting as you see him have to play this role, and it was just really really well done. I really enjoyed Cyril on this, and I love how the rebels are like his mom is unbelievably unbearable, and that was honestly just amazing. And then he's there also. He's watching over the rebels and while also reporting to the ISB what they're doing on their heist. And this is to steal weapons, not only to use, but also prove that the Imperials are going and making an armory instead of what they're saying, which is just another base. And the just really interesting thing here is just them going and attacking, but also the fact that the original Gorman massacre is canon. It's just slightly different name. I don't remember what they gave it in this, but it's an event where Grand Moff Tarkin goes and lands his Star Destroyer on a bunch of civilians, and it was honestly a really just intense scene as the one Bellhop goes and explains what happened to Cassian and how he was there as just a little boy and his father died saving him. So it was just super compelling, and I really did enjoy it. And moving into the heist itself with these rebels, they first pitch the plan to Cassian, and he doesn't love it, so Vel and Cinta are sent. They go, and Cinta says that she suffered some pretty serious injuries on a previous mission, and that made her reassess her priorities, and now wants to be with Vel and not be wasting any more time. And a talk like that means that one of the two of them was going to die. I was more thinking it was going to be Vel to go and have Cinta be in this place where she's willing to change, and then ultimately things fail and she's forced to return to the life that she previously had, but instead, Cinta's actually the one who died. As I knew that one of the two were going to die, and it was basically inevitable it was going to happen just for the simple reason of that scene really telegraphed one of the two was going to die. And honestly, I think the death was handled well. It is a complete random accident, and it was also someone breaking the rules and breaking a blast when they weren't supposed to. And I just love how Val just kind of went off on him and being like, "You don't have the right to cry. You just wanted to murder an ally and, well, someone I loved, and you're gonna have to live with that for the rest of your life." It was just such a great, emotional, like, devastated speech, and the acting was just absolutely incredible. I think they did just such a great job with the casting of this, all the acting, and really everything. Everything just really, really looked amazing. Everything with Gorman was. It was just such a beautiful, interesting place, and I'm very, very excited to see just how this continues because, as I said, it is just a absolutely insane set of episodes. Is that just so much stuff happened, and ultimately, I've really, really enjoyed it. And looking at the bingo card quickly, I went and marked off three more. And while technically, um, you could say that Soul Limited didn't technically break up, since they're no longer together, I'm technically counting it because the intention of it was that they're no longer going to be together. Plus, there is the fact that they weren't really together at the beginning of the first arc, and I'm just gonna count it. So if you have it on there, you could do it. I was close to also considering the Tarkin cameo, but I do feel like he will still physically show up. So we'll see about that. But I was kind of tempted to also count that as one. But looking at everything else, I obviously tossed in the Bail Organa cameo, and since Luthen had like two speeches in this, I also marked that. And a few of these were really close to being seen. The Gorman Massacre being an inside job, I think, is going to be shown next week. And I feel like we will see also Cyril catch up to Cassian. That nearly happened in this one, as I said. And then there was what was it? Almost else happened, but we're being pushed back. Like us seeing a little more about Luthen and him being exposed. That nearly happened. And we also nearly saw how Saw was injured. So nearly got an entire row on there. But yeah, I feel like we're going to see a good amount of this. I think that, looking at my other predictions, I think that we will see Bix also trying to kill Deidre based on everything that happened to her last season because of her and her killing Gorst. I think we'll also see B2 become K2. And we'll also be hearing Mon's speech from Rebels. And then, yeah, I think there's a few other things that will happen. But ultimately, I think that I'm definitely going to get a bingo on here. And then you can generate a card for yourself. and mark them off. There's a few other alternate ones. I think there's one in here. I can't think of which one it was, but also happened. I can't think. Yeah, I can't think of which one that was, but one that also happened in this that just didn't make it on the card I generated for myself. And yeah, honestly, just looking at some of the other stuff that has gone on, I think that there was just so much interesting world building done here, going and involving the Gorman people into this more proud society that really just doesn't want to go and be messed with. They want their own independence and they don't want to be treated poorly. It was just super interesting to see. I think that there's everything with the Gorman massacre. It's gonna be super interesting to see next week, and I'm excited to see how that escalates. And I do wonder what Cyril's reaction will be when he realizes that he has been used by Deidre, because it's essentially it's gonna come out. I just notice it's completely inevitable. But yeah, honestly, really enjoyed this. Also, another interesting thing is, personal theory of mine is that the ISB made sure that they were able to get that information on Cyril to show that he had a problem with the ISB, or at least a good reason to have one. And I just love those like little moments where, Cyril's acting all infuriated and really isn't. It's all part of the plan and he's just acting. It was honestly just really great and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, honestly, just again, I think that's really all I have to say. It was just such a great set of episodes. Once again, another great movie of Andor, and there's two left. From all of them, I think this is supposed to be the longest one. So yeah, honestly, as I said, I really enjoyed it, and I want to know what you think. So please let me know in the comments, and until next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.